Okay, so Mr. Braxton, can you tell us your name and your position?
My name is Robert Wayne Braxton. I'm guidance counselor or school counselor here at George Washington Carver, a K-8 school in Newark, New Jersey.
And so we just did a demonstration in a classroom of 7th graders. I would say, how many kids do you think were in that room? About 20?
I'd say 18.
18, okay. So what do you think of the experience that you just saw, of the activities that we did about building relationships?
Well, first and foremost, it was very much like a cold read. By that I mean there was no prescripted, there was no precursor, there was no, I just bring this woman in black in and sit down and we start talking. And what I was most impressed with was how quickly a normally territorial and suspicious group were warm, receptive, and friendly. And what I was even more impressed watching the group dynamic, being familiar with them, even though this particular group, our Tier C group, have been with each other all year long.
Okay.
I watched them acquire a greater sense of intimacy through communication. They were actually paying attention, especially when we talked about some things that are part of our rules that we affirm all the time. Things like being respectful, things like having citizenship, things like caring for others. I actually saw in practice them being reserved, and as reserved as 7th graders can be.
Yeah.
But you know, they were being they were reserving, they were listening, they were considerate, and they were taking notes. One of the things was, and quite frankly, I sat back because I've seen a lot of theorists in these areas come through, was I was really waiting for, after a half hour or so, whenever Ms. Brown would turn around and say, now wait a minute, when you respect somebody, what does it look like? All right? What does it look like? And they would repeat, well, you look at them and say, what do you do with your mouth? You keep your mouth closed, you know? What do you do with you're sitting there and listening? And I've worked with athletes and I've worked with college students, and it's so quintessential for them to acquire, whether it's football, basketball, or lacrosse IQ, that they understand that communication is a two-way street. It's not just about talking, it's about listening.
Yep.
And you listen with your eyes. And I saw this in practice after a short while with a group that doesn't always retain information, and I saw this in action, and I was very impressed with that.
Well, and I think, you know, one of the things I'm always talking about is this is a true 21st century teaching style where it's interactive. So I believe that if you get the students to say something, then they own it. So they do it. So if I'm able to say, you guys, if you want to show me, you know, that you care about me. I started with caring. Do you care about me? Are you interested in what I'm saying? And then I used the word respect. But I said, what would you do? And I asked it in the form of a question. So what was interesting is they had no problem giving me the right answer. And then I affirmed them. I said, you're right, absolutely. And then the other thing, I don't know if you noticed, but when I said, I said at one point, do you guys, what do you notice about me when I'm doing? And they said, you're doing exactly what you want us to do to you.
Yes.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that kind of, not that my expectations are low, but that occurred within the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, first 20 minutes, and usually after 10 minutes, they're looking, ooh, fly, bird.
Yeah.
But within 20 minutes, they recognized, they associated very quickly what we wanted from them, not just what we expected from them. So,
right.
Am I making sense?
Absolutely.
They got what we wanted from them, but is it different from what we want versus what we expect?
Right.
They understood that and they internalized it.
Yeah.
And once again, knowing the personalities in the room, these were people that could be difficult.
Well,
right?
I did ask you for the most difficult group in the school,
Well,
right?
I gave you the second. I gave you I gave you a hard group. Okay?
Okay.
But I got some more for you that we're going to work
Okay.
on later.
All right, good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.